I almost feel like I should be on the other side.
You can be wherever you want. We can...
They tried to say Britannize his beer.
There we go.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
What up?
What up?
How we doing, Miles?
Yeah, hanging in there all right.
I gotta get all of these mad things up.
Just wondering why you are not here.
It's such a long drive.
You're 50 minutes away and I've been drinking.
I fail to see what the problem is.
I see a couple of problems there.
I haven't had... Well, I probably have had too much. Darkness,
Are you still-
2014.
Are you still hammered from Darkness days?
Just keeping it going, man.
There we go.
So, no. Darkness, 2014 tonight. New Belgium salted chocolate stout. And some cranberry right now.
Oh, good work out of you.
Who is it? Somebody probably ordered more food.
Yeah, we got pizza in the oven right now. Me and Strandy.
Shared with
Had
me.
some Papa Murphy's last night.
That's what we got going, my friend. What'd you get, Miles? The cowboy?
Which one is that?
That's the one with black olive, sausage, pepperoni.
Negative. We had like the...
Where is your quiz on this madness?
Just a second.
Your homebrew bound notes.
Gets updated always. What's your... Just a second. I'm going to try and reshare it. What's your email address?
I'm not going to share that on the thing here. Don't worry about it. I don't need it. It's not
Okay.
important.
You don't need it. You're fine.
I have
Oh,
other
well,
things
thanks.
that I
Apparently
need.
my notes are just useless.
They're
No, they're
good for
not.
you. I don't need them. All right. Hang on. There's something weird going on. I wonder if it's your mom. I'm gonna hang up on you a second, Eric, and then recall you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not.
You talking about that weird ticking or clicking?
It's not that. Is it?
You want to switch it up with a different mic?
I got. Oh, but hang on. Testing one. Yeah, it's
No.
the fucking cable. Testing 1 2.
We seem to
The
be doing better.
mysterious clicking has gone. Right? Yeah, there we go.
All right. We're doing better.
Well, it'll work for now. Call him back. That's something I get to do. Replace this cable for this weekend.
You act like it's your 2-year anniversary or something.
Right? The equipment's starting to fucking just die on me.
Apparently we found the lifespan.
Oh, there he is.
Okay. You there?
Yes, sir.
Aha.
All right. So now I know I gotta go here. We'll start, 10 minutes late. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, we're live. People get to watch us dinking around.
Right? Okay.
Very exciting.
Did you want video on my side? I don't care.
No, you're fine because nobody else would be able to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm watching you fuckers.
Yeah, you are. Look at us go.
It's your 2-year anniversary or something.
Right? Oh, make sure you mute that.
Come
Oh,
on.
I did.
Okay. All right.
Eric, I got a quick message for you. You'll see it in a couple seconds.
Did you Skype me?
No.
he-
I assume you're still watching YouTube.
Oh, yeah, I'm watching what?
You'll see.
There's a delay.
Yeah, there's a delay.
Mhm.
I need this one. I feel out of sorts today for some reason. There we go.
It's because you didn't work your ass off yesterday.
Right. All right, Eric. So you're going to have to be quiet while this plays and then just start talking when we introduce you again, if that's cool.
Sure thing.
Because it's on the same PC. All right, Miles, are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm not.
That's okay. I forgive you. You give me beer.
I'll mute myself.
From grain to glass, this show is dedicated to helping you make the best beer possible. So strap in and hold on to your mash tuns. We're Homebrew Bound.
Welcome to Homebrew Bound. I'm Casey.
And I'm Miles.
And this is the best beer show on the internet, according to our mothers.
Absolutely.
Joining us today is Eric Wood.
The fabled brewing partner of mine.
What up?
How's it going?
Hey, there he is.
What we doing, gentlemen?
We're doing pretty good. He is not in studio with us. He's joining us over Skype because something about it being too far to drive.
And I've had something to drink.
Sorry, I had to get educated with barrel-aged beers.
I understand. I'm actually a little jealous. We're not drinking any barrel aged in the studio today
See
because
that?
I'm bad at preparing. But we are drinking homebrew, some double IPA, so that kind of
Well, that-
counts, right?
That's everything. Yeah, that's awesome.
It's very tasty.
Very, very tasty. So Miles, have you done anything brewing related the past week?
You know, I tried to do something, I think, yesterday and Saturday.
Yeah, well, no, you didn't try very hard.
You told me no.
That's right. You don't need me for everything.
Yeah, but I kind of need your permission to, come over.
This is true.
And you said no.
I did because I needed a day off, damn it.
You said no 2 days in a row.
Well, the first day I was busy. The second day,
No,
I
I
needed
know,
a day off.
I know.
All right. Anyway, Eric, what about you? Did anything brewing related lately?
God, I wish I could say yes. Other than just behind the scenes reading and research and
Yeah.
contemplation of recipe formulation and picking other brewers' brains and whatnot, no, I have not actually produced a single beer since last time we made lambic.
Oh, that was a fun day.
Yeah.
You guys
was
can
it?
go back and listen to that episode. Actually, is our third or fourth episode. I think it was fairly early on.
Was it? No.
No, maybe
No.
not. Maybe it's a little bit farther on.
Yeah,
I don't know. They all kind of meld together after a while.
I want to say it was episode 7 or 8.
It's very possible.
Because I think the first 3 weeks we had guests.
Yeah, we did.
Mm-hmm. And
Right.
none of them were Eric.
None of them were Eric.
I
But
kind of
then-
suck at life.
Well, but we came to you, so it all worked out in the end. I
Truth.
think.
That was nice.
I know. He doesn't want to come here so hard that we have to bring the studio to him.
Yeah, well, it worked.
It did
worked.
work. It was a good
Mhm.
day.
It was kind of fun. We had to jump off in the middle because the kettle died or something. It
At least we were on the ball.
Couldn't make up its mind.
All right. Well, before we get too deep, we're going to talk about barrel aging in the second half of the show.
Yes.
For the first bit, instead of tasting a homebrew, we have a fairly in-depth listener question that I figured we could go over, and it's actually about cider making. We talked a little bit about cider last
that's
week,
right.
and so he has a list of 5 or 6 questions. I answered him directly, but I figured we could open it up and just talk about it this first half here. So Mike is dropped off a 5-gallon bucket at a local apple orchard and got it filled with cider,
Yes.
which I'm a little jealous of.
Yes.
Sounds awesome.
Very jealous.
So his first question was, should he pasteurize the cider before he uses it?
It depends on how fast he's going to use it.
Oh, see, and what I said to do, and it kind of goes into his second question, should he boil the cider to kill off any wild yeast?
Okay.
I responded with, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Are you eating something, Eric?
No, I rolled my chair back. I'm sorry.
Anyway, so
Me.
his second question was, should I boil the cider to kill off any wild yeast? I essentially said, you know what? Don't worry about it. If you're going to use it right away, just drop a few Camden tablets in there.
Yep.
Wait 24 to 48 hours for those to clear out, and that'll kill any wild, any non-essential stuff. And then after that, you can pitch regularly. And never boil a cider because that'll increase the haziness and make it look not good.
I actually did my first bit of research into the pasteurization of beers and found a couple of references to homemade ciders.
Mm-hmm.
And the primary reason is because you want to be able to stop fermentation before all the sugars get fermented away,
Yes.
so that you can actually have a sweet.
Well, yeah.
Beer.
We'll get to that. There's a few ways to make it sweet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess that just introduced me to one of the ways to pasteurize a beer, and this would be after bottle fermentation instead of, beforehand.
Yeah. I don't think you need to pasteurize 5 gallons of cider, like in the big bucket.
Well, no, I mean, even Eric and I, we used fresh squeezed apple juice for our apple beer.
Mm-hmm.
And heck, that stuff went 2 years and didn't have any problems.
I don't know about that, man.
Well, I mean, as far
It's fully fermented out.
no, I mean, as far as foreign
More of an apple
contaminants.
wine at that point than a cider.
Well, it was more of like a craft beer. It was more like, there was some tartness or kind of green apple sour character, not from like, bystanding brewing products.
Was this
like
the
totally-
apple ale
Yes.
that you brought in that was a
Yes.
little overcarbonated and gushed
Yeah.
a little bit?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because the apple just kept fermenting?
It worked really, really well with Brett. I will say that.
Okay.
So, it's definitely been a beer that we've been meaning to rebrew. And Miles, if you can get a couple gallons of that cider, I'd be more than happy to provide the grain and or yeast to do so.
We'll talk. We'll definitely talk.
I don't know. It's in need of a rebrew. It's such an interesting, the apple graph or that cider. It's the next big thing, really. Craft cider.
Oh, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
His next question was, how will wild yeast affect the end result? And I think that's more up your alley, Eric. Wild yeast and cider. Do you have any experience with that?
Well, we've used Brettanomyces bruxellenus trois in one of our the only Brett beer or apple beer that Miles and I made. And Miles, you can attest that it probably added a good amount of complexity and character over time.
Yes.
Yes. Definitely did increase some of that sour character, some of that tartness really started to shine. But, if you're going to add like a lambic culture to it, I'm not sure I would recommend that. But I would definitely recommend checking out Funk Factory Goozeria. Just Google it. It's my good friend Levi, who's opening his own brewery and actually did 10 different Brettanomyces yeast strains
wow.
on apple cider with a cidery. So
because that doesn't sound fantastic.
Yeah, with that said, he would be the resource to definitely pick the brain, but I think it goes well together.
Okay.
If you do it right.
All right. And then what type of yeast do you guys like to use if you're doing a cider or a fruit or like a fruit beer like that?
I say keep it as clean as possible and let the fruit shine. So
Yeah.
American ale is probably a standard or even Cali.
I guess my go-to for cider is Nottingham. Something about that yeast just really leans towards cider.
I haven't actually made any actual ciders as opposed to apple beers. And what I know from working at the liquor store, there are several wine yeasts that would do the trick.
Yeah,
as well.
I hear dry champagne, and that's what Mike
Yeah.
asked about as well. Dry champagne yeast,
The one that I would
especially
sell,
if you're going for the higher ABV ciders,
yeah.
they'll do better.
The one that I would sell primarily was a Côte du Rhône. It came in a little green package. I think it came from Red Star.
Okay,
So,
all right. And then adding spices to ciders. When would you guys recommend doing that? In the fermenter, at bottling?
Probably flame out or packaging.
yeah, I would agree with that. It just feels like you could probably.
Well, with the
control
cider,
it.
there is no flame out.
Well,
that's
then
right.
definitely your only option pretty much is
At packaging.
packaging.
packaging, I would say 72 to 24 hours prior.
Yeah.
It also
go
depends on what spices. I mean,
well, he's talking cinnamon, clove, or
Nutmeg.
honey.
It's
Yeah. I guess honey really isn't a spice, but yeah. So I recommended either add it to the fermenter a little bit before, or if you want really good control, make like a spiced tea, like a tincture, and then add it like figure out the ratio you want before you bottle it, and then add it to the bottles individually.
Yeah,
it's a lot more work, but you get a much more controlled flavor.
controlled setting. You get to
that's
make sure
the beauty of homebrewing. You can try it both ways. And
Yeah.
without little expense to your wallet, you could try it literally 2 different methods and see
which one you like.
Yeah, because it's all personal palate.
Yes. And then he asked about doing a secondary fermentation or a cold crash with a cider. I don't really think there's a whole lot of a reason to do a secondary. A cider is not going to be in fermentation that long. You're
Only
looking
for
at
improved clarity.
Yeah, and well, then you could just cold crash essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And if you use there's enzymes and stuff you can add to pectic enzyme. If you add that to your cider, that will clear it up and reduce any chill haze and stuff like that. Then we get to the really interesting question of carbonation with a cider. Because so if you let a cider ferment out, it will eat all of the sugars, and you'll end up with a very dry, almost just boozy water is what you're going to end up with. Because all that apple character and all those sugars are going to be eaten. So you can do 2 things. You can either let it do that and then back sweeten with more apple juice or and some like honey and sugar and stuff to add that sweetness back in. Or you can stop it during fermentation, bottle it about where you want it, let it carb in the bottles, and then either keep them cold for the rest of their lives so the yeast stops working, or pasteurize.
Yes, and
you can stop. There's tablets you can use, like sorbate tablets or something.
It's actually the Camden, which is I think it's Camden tablets. They're very, very versatile.
Well, no, Camden tablets won't necessarily kill yeast.
As far as I understand, what happens, because I did some research in wine, it's either that or the KMS. When the yeast stops doing its thing for whatever reason, cold crashing or it just ran out of sugars, you add it, and then it prevents them from waking back up if more sugar is introduced.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and I want to say that's the Camden tablets, but I might be mistaken.
No, I think you're mistaken
is
on that one. It's the potassium sorbate.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
the
potassium
latter, for sure.
Yeah. So potassium sorbate will, I guess, halt your fermentation as long as no new sugar is added in. Well, no, it should just halt your fermentation no matter what.
If I'm not mistaken, the fermentation already needs to be stopped or paused.
Well, I don't think
it prevents it from restarting.
Yeah, so you would cold crash it, and then potassium sorbate, and it would stop fermentation.
It would keep it stopped.
Yes. Okay.
It makes surviving yeast incapable. So yes, it stops incapable of multiplying, but it can stabilize and not let it go any further. So yeah, I guess that is stopping. Great.
All right, it stops. We're good.
Okay. Add the stuff after cold crashing I think is what we came down to.
Yeah. So basically, those are the ways that you can.
Yeah, and pasteurizing after bottling, what that ends up looking like is you bottle, and then you wait about a week, and then you kind of start checking the carbonation levels on them, and then you put them through a heat treatment, which is I think
incredibly dangerous on the homebrew scale.
Yeah, I mean you'll definitely want to do your research first. It ends up looking like a hot water bath. In a controlled situation.
Yeah, it's at like 170, 180 degrees.
I wanted to say 180. You heat the water up. You get a big stock pot, heat the water up, take it off the burner, put some bottles in, cover it up.
Because they will, well, I don't know. I've seen a lot of horror stories of people doing that, and like the caps will shoot off or the bottles will explode, and there will be dents in the lumina in the aluminum or stainless steel stock pot from where the bottle caps have hit the lid or the side.
So I mean, it's definitely at your own risk situation.
It's fairly terrifying.
Yeah, I like the first method better.
Yeah, what I do, we make a cider every year for Christmas, and we do a super simple cider. We go to the grocery store, buy cheap apple juice.
Yep.
That has no additives.
Surprisingly, the cheaper stuff is the better stuff to use.
Yeah, no, you got to find the stuff that doesn't have potassium sorbate already added to it.
Yeah,
which is hard to do.
Yep.
But you find that
Whole Foods or something. Or?
Actually, there's a Walmart brand that. Yes.
Sweet.
No, it's funny. Like,
and it's like $3 or $4 a gallon, and so we just buy 5 of those, I guess last year or the past 2 years we've done 10 gallons, so we just buy 10 of those, dump them in a bucket, throw yeast in, let it sit, and it's the easiest brewing thing in the world.
So why don't you just do that, and then next week you'll have something to talk about?
Right. Well, because it takes about 2 weeks to get it where I like it, because I like it slightly on the drier side.
Well, that's news to me.
Right? Who would have thunk it? Casey likes something dry.
Wow. All right.
Okay. Well, why don't we get into the discussion topic today? Miles, you want to introduce that?
All right. We're going to be talking about barrel aging your beers, and we're, for the most part, going to be interviewing Eric for this. He seems to be the regional master as far as our little group goes.
I'm off the hook.
How is that possible? That I'm the regional master?
We don't have a very big region.
There we go. So by default.
Right?
I've never barrel aged anything, so you win.
All right. So, Eric, question 1. Is barrel aging available to me as a home brewer? Like, how reasonable is it for me to try and accomplish?
Depends how much money you have. Well, so yes, there are a variety of ways you can accomplish a barrel aged flavor to your homebrew. One of the more expensive, albeit probably the better version, is to purchase your own small vessel and or large vessel whiskey barrel.
Okay.
They're generally, in the past couple of years, there are a couple small distilleries made small batch whiskeys in 5-gallon format, readily available to homebrewers via a couple regional homebrew sites. So Adventures in Homebrewing, if you Google that, type in used whiskey barrel, you could find about a 5-gallon whiskey barrel shipped anywhere into the United States too for $1.20.
Oh, that's not terrible.
No,
and you get about 3 uses out of it before you really want to think. I mean, you could, I guess, get unlimited uses out of it, but for premium flavor and character, I would say 3.
So after 3 uses, are you
3
losing?
barrel. Yeah.
Are you losing like oak character or?
Definitely. Yep.
Okay.
Some of the oak character just kind of fades, and you really just, whatever spirit you condition it with tends to just become boozy and fusel at that point.
So would you say, like, after 2, do a sour in it to get the most out of that?
I mean,
barrel,
that's up to your personal opinion.
Okay.
That would be what I do and will continue to do until I buy another barrel, which needs to happen. And given that research, I haven't found any 5-gallon used whiskey barrels or bourbon barrels or whatever for that matter. And everything is 10 gallons now. And those run about $1.70 shipped.
that's not too bad. I mean, the scale up price.
Yeah,
No,
it's
it's
not double.
It's
so.
not bad. If all you do is barrel aged beers and you do them in a 10-gallon format, that's really not too bad if you really think about it.
So let me follow up with this real quick. If I don't want to buy a barrel, what are my other options?
Some of your other options are using wood chips or like oak shaved barrel chips, if you will.
Okay.
Sorry if you hear dogs barking.
It's clear and apparent.
Yeah, I am so sorry.
It's fine.
Oak spirals, and those we'll address later in the episode. But oak spirals, generally, both of those can be purchased at your local homebrew store.
And that's more affordable?
Oh yeah, they're anywhere between $5 and $15 for a package.
Flavor-wise, are they
Each.
comparable to?
I don't think so. I think they impart a great deal more of tannin and some of that astringency that you get from oak.
I guess that would make more sense.
Depending on
There's
the
more
toast.
surface area touching
Precisely.
the beer.
It is faster. I mean, you can put in a package of oak chips and take your beer off of it in, I don't know, 10 days and have substantial character, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
there's that.
What different types of barrels can be used to age a beer?
Well, really, most barrels are made of oak.
Okay.
I would say 95% are made of some oak. The variation comes in with the toast level on the oak, whether it's light, medium, or a heavy toast. There is also regional disparity in the type of oak. So French, New American, or Hungarian are generally the ones you will see over, I would say, a majority of homebrew shops and or, barrel outlets, if you will. They do exist. But really, it really depends on your base beer and what you're putting into the barrel.
So as far as the barrels themselves, the sky's the limit, and then it just kind of determines what you want to do with it from there on.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. There's a barrel co-op up in northern Minnesota that you can get like 6 different types of wood built into one barrel.
Wow.
Which is what Surly Brewing Company used for their Surly 6th anniversary ale, which if you've had it now is pretty crazy.
Right
Is
on.
there a specific reason you would want that many different kinds of wood in a single barrel?
Only because you can. Personally, I had Surly 6 just this past weekend, and it was a beer that's already incredibly polarizing to begin with, but there's just too much going on. To be honest. Yeah, it's just overly oaked and tannic, and it's just, for me, too much.
Okay. I mean, using the different types of oak, are you going to get noticeably different oak flavors or not really? Or is more of that going to come from how fresh the barrel is or what spirit was aged in it beforehand?
My thought is a little bit of both. If it's a freshly dumped barrel and you pop a beer in there same week that it was dumped, you're obviously going to get a volatile, big boozy note, and the oak won't shine, especially when you're aging some of those higher gravity beers. You don't have such a long window as where you would in a sour beer. So you're going to pick up booze and tannins, and I would say a barrel that's had a little bit of time post rinse, maybe 3 weeks to a month would be your best. And when I say that, that means that you're going to get most of your vanilla, your toffee, some of that burnt marshmallow, creme brulee notes that you get in some of those better barrel aged beers in America.
Okay.
Well, cool.
So,
well, on that note, what styles of beer should I consider barrel aging?
oh man.
All of them.
So it depends who you ask. Personally speaking, higher gravity English and American ales generally benefit the best.
Okay.
Belgian quads do pretty well depending on their gravity and what they taste like pre-barrel.
Okay.
But I would stick to your imperial stouts, your American strong ales, your English and American barley wines.
Stronger and darker.
Typically, yeah, that is a general rule of thumb. I mean, I can't lie to you there. I mean, when's the last time that you had a barrel-aged lager that was incredible? Or
actually, I had one from
done,
Lakefront recently.
Okay, that one was good. That was a fun beer. But you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, so you're not going to barrel-age Heady Topper. You're just not going to do that. And if you do, you're an idiot.
So basically you're looking for those roast characters. Do they complement the oak flavors more than something lighter that would just shine through oak?
The easy answer is yes. Miles, you can probably attribute that some of the roastier, big imperial stouts, like, oh boy, I'm trying to think of a commercial example. Bell's Expedition.
Yes.
When it becomes black note, does do pretty good with barrel aging, but not always.
Okay.
That's a pretty open-ended question. Really, you should not barrel age a lager, like a American Pilsner.
Well, I guess that walks us right into the next question. What are some of the ones I should specifically avoid consider aging?
I'd say a half of Weizen. Don't barrel age a half of Weizen.
Yeah, half of Weizen. Bueno. Honestly, pretty much
Pre-males,
anything
don't
under
do that.
7.5% and under 14 SRM. I mean, what's up with barrel-aged amber ales? Please, somebody explain that to me. It's
Well, I was
not
hoping you could
good.
explain that to me. I don't.
Well, the only way I like to barrel age my ambers is in a barrel that has 7 different kinds of wood in it.
Hey,
Right.
that might be interesting.
Well, yeah, I guess. Are there certain hops that go well with barrel aging, or do you really just want a low hop beer going into your barrel?
I think you want a reasonable amount of bitterness to.
Okay.
So one of the things, we were drinking Barrel Aged Darkness tonight, and as you may know, Surly Darkness is an incredibly hoppy imperial stout to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And the hops and the tannins just really clash. Some of that tannic oak kind of gives you headache, and some of that bitterness just leads to, I don't know, it's just not desirable. So you kind of want some of those richer, more full flavor components to come through with malt.
Okay.
But I don't think I could answer the question of what hops play well with barrel aging, and I'm not sure, Miles, if we really know. I don't think you want a Citra hops imperial stout in a barrel.
No. I was just wondering if say like noble hops or sea hops or.
Well, sure, they all do pretty well as long as they're not super aromatic and piney.
Okay.
I think Eric, you and we've had a couple of the barrel aged Mad Hatter IPAs.
Oh yeah, good read.
I was not a big fan of almost any of them.
No, I agree with you.
All right. But here's a question for you. So I have my beer in a barrel now.
Mm-hmm.
How long should I keep it in there?
What kind of beer is it?
It doesn't matter. It's an open-ended question.
Let's say it's a let's start on the lower end. Let's say it's a porter. You're doing a barrel aged porter. And you just want.
Are we talking a 5-gallon barrel?
Yeah. We're 5 gallons.
Minimum 2 weeks, maximum 6 weeks, and absolute maximum on the 6 weeks. The best thing to be able to do is to be able to taste your beer as it ages in oak.
And so I guess I'm gonna kind of interrupt you here. So
sure,
you probably want to taste it like a week in and see if it's going where you want, right?
Sure.
Do you taste it more often if it's a newer beer, or a newer barrel? Or
so the thing with barrel aging is any amount of oxygen that gets into that barrel is bad news bears. You're really risking a highly hyperized patient. So really the best way that, and I haven't actually used this in practice, but every other home brewer swears by it, is to take a, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, maybe 3/4 inch nail and nail it into the end of your beer and seal it with using beeswax. And then when you want to take a sample to pull a nail, that's why there's a couple homebrew jokes and/or beers named after pulling nails. Yeah. Because that's the way the liquid,
they take the liquid out without introduced oxygen.
Pretty much zero oxidation, yeah. So
we should consider that.
That's very intriguing.
So yeah, I mean, some of your bigger gravity beers, your imperial stouts, anything really over 10%. Is really to taste. If you've had a lot of commercial barrel-aged beers, you'll know that less is not always more. Sometimes leaving a beer in barrel for, Miles, what do you think, 9 months to 24 months? Yeah. Just really depending how the beer is doing. And then there's barrel and oak variation, too. Not every barrel is the same barrel. Doesn't always all happen the same way.
Well, what I've found is that it depends on how long your beer is in there.
Totally.
I guess the flavor profile changes from if it's in there from 6 weeks to 6 months.
Absolutely. And if it were me and you doing another barrel-aged beer, I would say leave it in there for 3 months versus 6 weeks, because we didn't get nearly those deep vanilla and toffee tones that we wanted, but we got a nice oak character. We got a nice, there was just a nice whiskey presence in general.
Okay.
But
So if you want,
sour beers, those can take anywhere between 1 and 4 years, I'd say.
yeah, yep, absolutely. My research said in general 2 to 3 for wild ales and sours. They just do their thing for a long time.
I mean, there is some of that. Some of the research I had done was that, generally speaking, when wine goes into oak, it penetrates about 6 millimeters into the oak staves of a barrel. Okay. Whereas if you have light toast, you're going to get no measurable depth of seepage of liquid. Medium is 2 millimeters, and heavy toast is generally 3 to 4 for beer.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Didn't either.
All right, so why don't we skip to the end here? What are some of the other quick concerns that I should be aware of when I want to barrel age a beer?
We're definitely getting towards the end of the time here. I do want to say we're going to do a part 2 of the barrel aging thing at some point, just because there's so much information here. We'll dive deeper into some of these topics.
So much.
But in the short amount of time here, answer the final question here, and we'll go on.
Well, I think definitely your vessel size that you're aging in, whether it's actual whiskey barrel or staves. The smaller the barrel, or the greater the amount of surface area, the faster the flavors generally get let into the beer.
Okay.
It does vary depending on your gravity of work going into the barrel, and that also depends. Did you complete primary fermentation pre-barrel treatment, or did you actually just ferment inside of a barrel? There's so many aspects that can literally change barrel aging as a science.
Sure.
So that's kind of sorry if that's not a very good answer.
No, that's perfectly fine. Again, we definitely need to dive into some of these deeper, and we will as the weeks go on.
Absolutely. I'd love to help you guys.
All right. Well, thanks again for coming on, Eric. And if you guys have any barrel questions, send them our way, either to feedback@blindnewstudios.com or send us to them on Facebook, and we'll try to get back to you and maybe have Eric answer an email or two if need be. So,
all right, guys. Well, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on.
Much
Saturday
appreciated.
is a good show, so hopefully I can make it down for that.
Sounds good.
All right. Cheers, gentlemen.
See ya.
Cheers.
Bye.
Well, thanks you for tuning in. If you remember, we do this every Monday live at blindnewstudios.com/live or on youtube.com/blindnewstudios. Oh, if you feel like supporting the show, I don't know why I just got super tired of it. If you want to support the show, you can do that by going to patreon.com/blindnewstudios or going to blindnewstudios.com and clicking on the Become a Patron link at the bottom of the page. Even $1 a month really helps us out. So become a recurring donor today. Otherwise, if you're going to do any Amazon shopping, go on over to blindnewstudios.com, click on the Amazon affiliate link, do your regular Amazon shopping, and we get a little bit of a kickback. All right, you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/blindnewstudios. Follow us on Twitter at blind_ninja. And
I'll see you next week.
Facebook. Oh, feedback. Send feedback to feedback@blindnewstudios.com. Wow, I really messed up this outro. I don't know what's going on today. All right, I'll see you guys next week.
Bye.